They branded him guilty. She believed he was anything but. What followed next caught the entire courtroom off guard. "Mr. Darby, your client needs a response," the judge prompted. Nothing. Not a word. Judge Halverson's expression didn't change, but the slight twitch at the corner of his eye betrayed his irritation. The courtroom was overflowing. Reporters crammed shoulder to shoulder, curious onlookers packed in tight. They weren't here for justice. They came to witness a spectacle, a wealthy young entrepreneur either unravel or weasel out. But Damon Darby, the defense lawyer with a reputation as sharp as his suits, simply closed his folder, rose, and announced coldly, "I'm stepping down from this case." Immediately, gasps rippled across the room. People leaned forward. Phones lit up, but one person didn't flinch. A little girl named Zuri Carter, sitting 2 rows behind the defense bench in a slightly too big dress and sneakers with the soles worn thin, stayed completely still. Nobody had noticed her when they walked in. No one cared. Not yet. At the defendant's table sat 27-year-old Leo Marsden. Eyes dry, lips parted, wrists cuffed. A tech creator from Silver Valley who made a life-saving app during the COVID era. Just last year, the media had dubbed him the working man's genius. Now he sat accused of a violent attack that left his corporate rival in a coma. And he hadn't done it. The judge banged his gavel once. "This is irregular, Mr. Darby." "Understand, Your Honor," Darby replied, eyes forward. "But I can't represent a client who won't give me the truth." The blow landed hard. Leo's head dropped. It didn't matter that he had told the truth. No one believed him. Then a voice rang out. "Quiet, clear, young. I can defend him." The courtroom froze. The judge blinked. "What?" Zuri stood up, back straight. "I said I can defend him." There was laughter. Someone near the back began filming. A bailiff moved closer, unsure what to do. "What's your name, young lady?" the judge asked. "Zuri Carter." "And your age?" "8. I appreciate your confidence, but I'm not a real lawyer," she cut in. "I just know he didn't do it." Nobody told her to sit down. The judge, instead of dismissing her, tilted his head with cautious interest. "How would you know that?" "Because 2 years ago, he saved my brother's life." Leo turned toward her, eyebrows pulling together. He didn't recognize her, not at first. But the courtroom suddenly paid attention. Reporters straightened up. Phones lowered. Zuri clutched the wood in front of her, eyes fierce. "My brother was in his mentorship program. He believed in us when nobody else did. He gave our building Wi-Fi, laptops, hope. We were finally thinking about college. But my brother, Jakari, got shot before he made it." Silence swallowed the courtroom. "I want to speak for Leo, because nobody else is." Judge Halverson leaned back slowly. "Let her talk," he finally said, waving off the stunned prosecutor. And so Zuri walked up, her small frame steady, her voice stronger than anyone expected. "He couldn't have been at that warehouse," she said. "His plane landed after midnight, and the building's on the edge of the state. It doesn't add up." And Mr. Willis, his so-called rival, was about to lose a multi-million-dollar contract to Leo's company. That's a motive right there. Not for Leo. For him. The room stirred. Phones buzzed. Tweets fired off. Someone whispered, "Did this kid just punch a hole in the prosecution's whole timeline?" When court recessed, Leo didn't move. His eyes were fixed on the girl who had said what even his attorney wouldn't. 2 hours earlier, Zuri had left her apartment quietly. Her grandma, Ms. Claudette, was asleep on the couch, her breathing slow and raspy. Zuri skipped school, wearing her brother's old hoodie and carrying a backpack full not of books, but a spiral notebook packed with every article, timeline, and fact she could find about Leo Marsden. He was the only adult who had ever shown interest in her brother's dreams. And now he was all over the news for something she knew he hadn't done. Back at court, Zuri was ushered into a side room while adults scrambled to contact her guardian. But Grandma Claudette didn't answer. She was still asleep when the call came. Then Leo was brought in, still cuffed. He stared at Zuri, stunned. "Why'd you do that?" he asked. "Because you didn't do it," she replied without blinking. "You don't know me." "Yes, I do," she said. "You helped Jakari." The deputies exchanged looks. "I'm sorry," Leo said. "About your brother. You gave him something no one else did. That matters." Before they could say more, guards pulled Leo away. Zuri was left gripping her notebook, ready to fight. Meanwhile, Leo sat in the holding room, praying anyone, might believe in him again. That's when a visitor came, a man Leo hadn't seen in 2 years. Trent Holloway, Leo muttered. His old co-founder. The one he built Linklift with. The one who vanished after a bitter fallout. You look like hell, Leo, Trent smirked. What do you want? Trent leaned in. Just wanted you to know it was me. You set me up? I didn't throw the punches. But I made sure it looked like you did. You cloned my phone. Rental car, too. You're welcome. Leo clenched his fists. Why? Because you thought you didn't need me. So I found someone else who did. Willis. Bingo. As Trent walked out, he smiled coldly. You're not a genius anymore. You're a fall from grace. And tomorrow, you're a conviction. Back at Zuri's apartment, she pored over her notebook again. Her eyes stopped on one name, Trent Holloway. He was there in the early days of Linklift, then disappeared. Zuri looked up, determination flaring. Grandma, she whispered, waking Claudette. We have to go back to court. I know who framed him. The courtroom had never felt louder. Reporters yelled into microphones. Cameras flashed like lightning in a thunderstorm. But for Leo Marsden, everything was quiet. The cuffs were finally off. The weight on his chest gone. He turned and saw her. Zuri Carter, all of 8 years old, standing on her seat, her spiral notebook clutched to her chest like a medal of honor. She grinned like someone who knew she didn't just change a man's life. She'd changed the whole game. Leo walked over, dropped to one knee, and looked her dead in the eyes. You saved me. Zuri tilted her head. Nah, you saved Jakari. I just paid it forward. His voice caught. Your brother. He'd be proud of you. She looked down, nodded slowly. I hope so. Grandma Claudette reached them just in time to hear it. She shook her head and let out a breath that was equal parts pride and pure exhaustion. You sure know how to stir up a storm, child. Zuri giggled. Runs in the family. Outside the courthouse, they were swallowed by a wave of reporters, flashing lights, and live feeds. But Leo wrapped a gentle arm around Zuri's shoulder, shielding her from the noise as security rushed them to a waiting car. Once inside, the chaos faded. Can I ask you something? Leo said quietly, glancing over. Zuri nodded. Why didn't you quit? Why fight so hard for someone the world already gave up on? Zuri didn't answer right away. She stared out the window, watching the courthouse disappear behind them. Then she turned and said something that would end up echoing across millions of screens by nightfall. Because when the world calls someone a liar, somebody's got to remember the truth. And sometimes that somebody's a kid. Leo smiled, not for the cameras, not for the crowd, but for the first time in a long time, because he felt like himself again. Not a criminal, not a scandal, just a man who finally got his name back. A week later, headlines flipped. Trent Holloway arrested in frame-up plot. Young girl's evidence leads to tech giant's exoneration. Meet Zuri Carter, the 8-year-old who stood up for justice. But Leo didn't care about the media circus. He cared about the simple kitchen table in Zuri's East Heights apartment, where he sat eating crispy chicken and laughing with her and Grandma Claudette. You know, he said between bites, you'd make a hell of a lawyer one day. You think so? Zuri asked, eyes gleaming. I know so. She grinned. Then you better stay out of trouble, Mr. Marsden, 'cause next time I'm charging by the hour. They all laughed. The kind of laughter that feels like healing. The kind that says you made it out. And that's the truth of it. This story wasn't just about clearing a name. It was about standing up when no one else will, believing in someone when no one else does, and reminding the world that sometimes the smallest voice can carry the biggest truth.